Okay guys, let's do exhaust cam swap without removing the timing belt or removing the tension on it. I'll show you how. First thing you want to do is you want to take your PCV valve off, take your spark plug wires out, and then go ahead and take the valve cover bolts out and your breather, either tube or filter. If it's a filter, you can just leave it there. If it's a tube, you have to take it off. And then pop that off, and that's the first step. And then also go ahead and remove your top timing belt cover. You're going to want to remove, there's four 10 millimeter bolts. There's one here, one way down there, one on top here, and then one just down here. These three on the top and down here are easily accessible. That one down there, it probably is best if you remove this motor mount dampener that is right there. And then I'll show you how to do the next step after we get that all apart. Okay, so now your cam cover's off. What you're going to want to do is you're going to go ahead and loosen up that 14 millimeter bolt by holding the camshaft. It's got this neat little hex nut built into it, and I found that a 24 millimeter wrench fits on there. 24 millimeter wrench will fit right on there, and you hold the camshaft with that, either that or crescent wrench, something to hold the camshaft with, and then break that bolt loose with a 14 millimeter on the front there. And then there's 6 10 millimeter head bolts, 2 behind each camshaft, and then there's 2 right down below the camshafts there. You want to remove all 6 of those, or at least loosen them. And I highly recommend replacing your cam seals while you're in here doing this job. Go ahead and get that cam plate loosened up so that it can move around. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to loosen up your camshaft bearing bolts. All the 10 millimeter bolts there. You're going to want to do about a half a turn each. And I don't know how you work them out. I just start at one end and just loosen half a turn to the other end. So whatever you think is best or your repair manual tells you to do, go ahead and do that. Right there, I'm going to go ahead and rotate this motor back to top dead center. I have there's a little punch out there. You put a 21 millimeter socket on there, and that allows you to turn your crankshaft to make it really, really easy to spin these on around. So let's go ahead and bring it back up to top dead center here. I'm sure you can't see that very well, but this backing plate here is loose. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it as close to top dead center as I can get it. You have to rotate these cams a little bit to get those bolts, those 10 millimeter bolts out. So anyway, let's go ahead and get it just a hair more. Okay, that's about top dead center. So you can see this is the exhaust swapped camshaft, and you can see it says E right there, and then I've got the mark there pointing for top dead center on the intake. So I'll show you how that all looks when I get it out and everything. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and ripping this thing a little bit further and then do another video. And again, to remove the camshaft, just about a quarter to half a turn per bolt to go ahead and loosen it up, and the valve springs will all release nice and smooth and won't damage your camshaft or break it or anything. So that's how you do it right there. Okay, after you remove all the bearing caps, you're going to find yourself here where this may not want to come off very easily. So what you do is you go ahead and remove all the, loosen the bolts all the way up on that one there with all the other ones off. Okay, and with your camshaft at top dead center, what you're going to do is you're going to get a rubber mallet, and I've put a socket on mine since it's falling apart so much I didn't want rubber chunks getting in my engine. So what I did is I put it down here, and I just kind of held the camshaft a little bit and tapped it down, and it loosened this one up just enough so I could get a small little, a small little pry bar underneath there, and just carefully go ahead and push a little bit, and then just give it a little bit of a twist on both sides, and that'll walk it off. But it is pretty difficult to get off, and then there's your seal right there. So now what you're going to want to do, here's the trick, is to release the belt tension. You're literally just going to go ahead and undo this bolt here, and then the camshaft will just lift up and out, and see how loose the belt gets there? Perfect. And then it'll be a little bit of a challenge, but you can put it back on without ever having to touch the tensioners or anything down there, and making sure all your teeth and everything are all lined up. So I'll show you how to do that here in a second. I just found a useful means of testing your lifters. I just was poking around. If you can push on it and it moves, it needs to be taken apart and cleaned or replaced. They shouldn't move. They should have enough oil pressure in them to literally not move at all. So here's one I just cleaned so you can see how much it moves. All right, you can see that. That's going to really make some noise when it starts. You know, these are all nice and fine. And then I came to this one. and it's got a little bit of a give to it, so that's the one that's ticking on me when it starts every single time. If I change the oil and put in fresh oil, it's fine, but if I don't change my oil every 500 miles, it's fine. It doesn't ever tick. So I'm going to take that one apart. It's probably got a piece of dirt in it from breaking in the motor. Your exhaust cam on this side, top dead centered. And then check your crank and make sure it's top dead centered. So let's see if I can show you how to do that. Okay, you see that little green mark? That should point to the T. Your timing mark should point to the T on the... Trying to figure this out here. Okay, so you're going to line up the T on the timing cover with your timing mark, and that's 0. That's top dead center. And then you just top dead center your cams. Okay, so now what you're going to do is while the person is holding that wrench, what you're going to do is you're going to start the bolt through. Okay, what you're going to want to do with your exhaust cam is you're going to put the cam tick in the intake slot there, and then what you're going to do is you're going to rotate the cam around and then put your mark you've made. Where is it? Down there. You're going to put that mark up here. It's just that simple. And then you're going to go ahead and, oh shoot, I can't remember how I did this. Well, anyway, here's how you can put a cam. You can figure out how to do it. But all you need to do is just get that mark up with the tick in the intake slot and rotate the camera around. But you can figure it out. You just got to keep on trial and error until you get it on. But I had the cam all bolted in and everything, and I just rotated the tick until it was up on this intake here. So your exhaust cam tick is going to be, what, down there or something like that. So anyways, you're going to go ahead and get it so that your mark you've made is up at your top dead center mark here, and then make sure your exhaust cam is and your crankshaft, and you are done. Then you just finish putting everything back together. So anyways, that's how you do the exhaust cam swap. And again, you're not going to have the intake mark pointing up with the intake tick here. It's going to be spun around so that your intake tick, your tick is going to be in the intake slot, but this is going to be down here. And then your mark you made is going to be up here. So I hope that makes sense. I just found a really sneaky way to loosen some belt tension so it's a little bit easier for you. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and pry this cover here a little bit away, and then you can slip a 14mm open-end wrench on there, on that 14mm bolt right there, and that's the tensioner. And you can actually loosen up a little bit so you can play a little bit easier and slip the cam gear on, and then go ahead and tighten it down. And then once you're done, go ahead and spread these cam gears apart so there's very little belt deflection. You want a little bit, and then just go ahead and loosen this thing up, tighten it down, bada boom, bada bing. Sweet. So that makes it a little bit easier for you. Okay, well there you have it. It's all done and back together, and I think it took me about 2 hours or so. If I would have figured out that tensioner trick earlier, it would have made it a lot easier, but oh well. Yeah, I know I downgraded my motor by putting the stock camshaft back in, but anyway, if you were to do an exhaust cam swap, it would be pretty sweet, and it would be pretty easy to do. You definitely need 2 people when you're putting the cam gear back on. You got to get it all rotated right and everything. So, yeah, there you go. There you have it. Sweet.